I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational, but that just wouldn't be our style.
Good evening. Welcome to the Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman. I'm joined tonight by David Korb, Dave Ribeiro, Zach Franciscus. Bob Quinn will be joining us soon. And we have kind of something a little different for you guys tonight than our usual just ramblings about what's going on in Steeler land. We've kind of set up sort of I don't know how to describe it other than saying it's a little bit like a draft. I'm going to turn it over to David and let him explain the rules. And we're going to jump into that fairly quickly just because we think it's going to take a significant amount of time.
Yeah. Basically, I was just trying to come up with some kind of sort of game for us to play because I know we have different opinions on what positions, what we think they should do. So I figured it'd be cool if we all give our own opinion on certain players we think that they should either trade for or, re-sign, bring back, whatever you want to call it. And then we can get, people to vote on which one they think they like the most. So basically what it is we're going to call this What Moves the Needle. So what do you think we're going to do the offense this time. What do you think the moves they can make that'll move the needle on this team? So, and how we're going to do that is that you can either use free agents, you can use a player you think that they've been actually rumored to trade for, and you can do that with current players. And all of us are allowed to use one pick to use on a draft pick for one of the positions. We're going to do one QB, 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 tight ends. And everyone will take turns doing the QBs. Everyone take turns doing the wide receiver, their 3 wide receivers, so on and so forth, not to confuse everyone. And then we're going to upload all this onto Twitter, and everybody can vote on there as well.
Yeah. So just to make sure everybody understands, we're talking about players that have been rumored to the Steelers, so it's somewhat realistic. So your quarterback isn't going to be like Patrick Mahomes or something that they couldn't even possibly get.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Dave, you can't go get Josh Allen. I'm sorry. That's not that's off the table.
Wait a minute. What if we started the rumor?
I need a minute to change my quarterback then.
Yeah.
Well, so we're going to jump right in and go ahead and start with that, most important position, a quarterback. And I say we just kind of go clockwise and start with Zach right at 12 noon.
Well, quarterback, mine's going to be easy. I wonder if I'll be in the majority, but it's Justin Fields. That's the easy answer. That to me, it's there. It's not a reach. You do that, it opens up so many doors for what you can do with everything else around you. So to me, easiest thing in the world, checklist Justin Fields, and you're done. I don't really think there's too much explanation that has to be given for that particular choice.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with Zach on that one. Bob?
I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. And for reasons that I will hold, not to jump too far ahead, but I'm going Aaron Rodgers. I think that if we want to actually be competitive next season, and I'm thinking that we do, that's my guy.
For me, when I look at this and I look at the options, right, whether it be, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Aaron Rodgers, my biggest issue, it is the quarterback, obviously, but my problem is the offensive line. Can I trust Broderick Jones can I trust, Fautanu? Do we really know if Fautanu is going to be that great or not? Can I trust him out in another year? He's even older. We need a guy, I feel like, that when that pocket collapses, he can get the fuck out of town and get down the field. And the only one I feel like that can actually do that still is Justin Fields. That's it. I mean, we saw Wilson get killed back there. Aaron Rodgers not getting any younger. He used to be that guy that could do that. Aaron Rodgers could actually move pretty well, but I don't know about anymore though. So for me, I'm going to go with Justin Fields. He's going to be cheaper. So that gives you more money to do other things with. And like I said, he can get out of the pocket a lot easier and not get killed back there. Big dude. So I got the arm, got the speed, everything that we are really looking for to have for an offense nowadays. So I'm going to go Justin Fields.
Well, I was going to go with Jackson Dart, but I think I'm going to go with Uncle Aaron. Uncle Aaron gives me the most entertainment for 2025. and that's what I'm looking for. So
It just
yeah,
makes him like creepier and pervier that you guys call him Uncle Aaron.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like
That's what I was going for,
Uncle
Leah.
Aaron, I'm not going to leave like kids in the room with them. Oh
Yeah.
no!
What?
So Uncle Aaron, jump aboard. Let's go. We're on a crazy train, 2025. Let's do it.
I can see the mustache that goes with it too. Oh,
I love it.
does Uncle
I-
Aaron have a
honestly,
job
nobody
yet? No, just be
pulled out
nice.
Trevor Lawrence, given I know that he came out today and said that
Yeah.
it's not a non-factor, but I'm still a little bit surprised that nobody pulled him out, because I know there were some Steelers fans that were really
I would have been 100% behind that.
yeah.
I would have definitely been, but
Yeah, depending
not
on what
gonna
we were going to give up for him. We talked about this last week. I wasn't against that.
he's been the best rumor of the offseason.
Dude,
Yeah.
I could just see Aaron Rodgers hikes the ball, and Broderick Jones
You can't see him.
pulls a
Go ahead.
Kendrick Green and goes and watches the guy run past him and absolutely annihilates Aaron Rodgers. Like I don't know, man. Like that's the only thing. Like I like Rodgers. He produced 20 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, top 8 in passing, I think it was too. Like no, so I get it. I honestly do. Put everything aside with that guy.
Can't you see him winking at Mike Tomlin every few minutes on the sideline
Purely,
after he completes a pass?
The Jets were better without him than they were with him.
yeah.
I wouldn't say better. They had a better record.
I just
Yeah,
production
but,
wise.
that's what matters.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
He had a bad
I just-
season. There's no
production
denying
wise
that.
though.
Yeah.
That's he's still top 10 in all those categories at quarterback. I mean, it's just hard to argue that.
I think
So
what's
I get
interesting,
it.
though, is that all the arguments against Russell Wilson were because he had those bad games. So back when he was having all those good games, nearly everybody was on board with him returning. Do you know what I mean? But then
Yeah.
it's not consistent for Rodgers. You know what I mean? He has bad games, and
Well, one
they're
thing,
both over the hill, but Rodgers has always been a better quarterback than Russell Wilson. And there's still,
absolutely 100%.
there's still, 80% of Aaron Rodgers is better than 80% of Russell Wilson is, I guess, what my logic is.
Well, here's my thing. So Wilson, I mean, not to defend Wilson at all. So he's 36, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rodgers is 40. What?
2, right?
40.
2.
I mean,
Uncle Aaron.
We
but
are
there's
playing with fire here.
one thing I will say though, that and the thing that makes Aaron Rodgers very different than Russell Wilson, he does not hold the ball. He's not a check down artist.
He gets rid of
He's going to throw. Now he's going to throw the ball away a lot, but you're not any. But he's going to have those pre-snap reads. So, like the Broderick Jones lookout block, Aaron might get crushed, but that's not going to be a sack. That's going to be a 30-yard pass out of bounds, and maybe we get lucky and we get some roughing the passer calls that everybody else gets.
No, I get it, guys. I really do. I just, to me, it's like I said, it's not even just the quarterback. It's who's in front of him blocking. That really worries me. I mean, when the Jets took pressure, I mean, Rodgers got nailed. You'd see him; he just couldn't. And I mean, and like I said, it's really not his fault. I'm just saying that from that standpoint. I
Do
don't
you think he would come cheap?
Yes.
I think he'd have to. I don't think he's going to have a lot of suitors. Although that Rams rumor is interesting.
That would be
If the-
interesting. That's the
if
other
the
thing.
Rams move.
Another thing came down today that Fields. I don't. They're just saying that they're predicting a 1-year $9 million deal or a 2-year deal averaging $9 million. Just came out today. I forget who put it on Twitter, but
I think people are lowballing that. I think he's going to be a lot more than that, man.
I would
If he hits
think a
free
little
agency-
more. But look, hey, if we get him for $9 million, I'm happy because then we can load that motherfucker up with other talent and see how it goes. Really. But hey, I mean, what do you think Rodgers is going to want?
Hey,
I honestly have no idea. Usually I can peg these things, but I have no idea what he's going to be.
Bob, you said you'd pay him 10?
who?
You-
Fields?
No. Rodgers.
Oh, Rodgers? I think you're probably going to have to pay him around 15.
15.
I think he'll take 15.
Think he'll take 15? Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying
I
you'd
honestly
pay
don't
10
know.
for Justin. I misunderstood you earlier. So you're saying you'd pay 10 for Justin, 15 for Rodgers. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, if I'm being a little facetious with Aaron Rodgers. I just figured everybody would kind of pick Fields. So I've got an argument that I'll reveal when we get to the next position
Fair
of
enough.
Okay.
why I want Rodgers. But if I was going, if I was wanted to be in the Justin Fields business, and I do think it's a good option for the Steelers, I'd be offering him in the neighborhood of three for 40 with 20 guaranteed. I'd be looking to pay him around $15 million because I think you got to overpay him just a little bit to make sure he doesn't go to the market.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
makes sense.
So that's 2 for Aaron Rodgers, 2 for Justin Fields. Bob, are you the one jotting this down?
Oh yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
I got the draft going.
All right, so let's roll into our wide receiver group. We're going to do them one at a time, right?
Yep.
We can.
3 rounds. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with those wide receivers, Zach.
I think the top one's easy. You bring back Pickens. That's the start. For me, you make sure he's locked up long term, and you make sure that he knows he's number one from here going out for all the pats on the head that he might need, and then you move on from there. That's to me very, very first place you start.
Bob, how about you?
Okay, so here's the whole reason I want Aaron Rodgers is because he brings our wide receiver 1 to town, Davante Adams. And he's a guy who I do feel that other people in the wide receiver room, who I will leave nameless for now, will learn from. And I also think he is still a highly effective receiver. He had over 1,000 yards. He's had over 1,000 yards for I don't know how many seasons in a row. He's still a top, and he's not top 5 like he was, but he's still top 15. So give me Davante Adams as my route runner go-to. He's my guy, and if it's Aaron Rodgers, I know he's throwing it to him.
All right. So yours was him. Okay, I'm going to go with Deebo Samuel. I do think the Steelers should trade for him. And the only reason why I changed my mind is because of the price. When I saw it was a day 3 pick is what they're wanting, that changed things for me a little bit. That's a big difference between wanting like a second round and they have to give up a lot of money. Looks like they won't even have to pay a lot of money for the guy either. So, and the way I look at it is too about Deebo Samuel, everybody's got to remember Ayuk was hurt last season. So, and so was CMC. I mean, they could really hone in on trying to stop him and Kittle, and that's what they did. That's what they really did. He was 46 in yards with 670. But when you look at free agents, guess who had the second most yards in free agency? Keenan Allen. So, I mean, if you want to go with a free agent, the second best free agent in yards last season was Keenan Allen. I don't want that guy.
No, definitely not.
Right? The free agent with the top most yards was T. Higgins. But guess what? He was ranked 28th in yards with a 911. So it's like, man, if that's the best free agent, didn't even eclipse 1,000 yards. And I think he got hurt too, which does skewer this a little bit. But in general, comparing, if I can give up a 5th or whatever to get Deebo Samuel as opposed to spending money on Keenan Allen, who's going to want probably more money, even though he's pretty much he's pretty much washed now. Sorry, I'd rather do the trade because the Steelers are probably going to get some compensation picks back too, right? Compensatory picks. So they might be able to replace that 5th round pick, 6th round pick they give up for Deebo anyways. So I'm on board going Deebo Samuel only because 1, I still think he's got something left in the tank. 2, that helps them cut Cordell Patterson. And 3, I think it's a smart move. I really do. So Deebo Samuel for me. I'm trading for him.
Bob's stealing all my thunder going ahead of me. But, yeah, I'm going Davante Adams too. Uncle Aaron and cousin Davante, let's do this.
Don't you think at some point Davante Adams is going to have to detach himself from Aaron Rodgers? I mean, he's younger. If he feels like he's healthy and he's got time left in the league, how much longer does he want to be attached to that guy?
Well,
I think he's been on record saying he likes Mike Tomlin too. I think it'd be a nice little package if those two guys could come together. I mean, again, we've talked about this before, having him be the grown-up in the wide receiver room for George Pickens. I think that would be fantastic. Even if they don't get Aaron Rodgers, I still think they should think about Davante Adams if they can get him without
Davante Adams.
Aaron Rodgers, but we'll see. I think that's the guy with the clout and a grown-up. He's always kind of been, he's never been a troublemaker or anything like that. He's a leader in the locker room. So I think that's a no-brainer for the Steelers.
Anybody can reach George Pickens,
If anybody can, it's him. You're right, though.
He could. I think he's got a good shot.
I mean, if it's Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, they can just shut him out until he starts acting right. I mean, quarterbacks have done that to receivers before.
You know what I mean? But then he gets shut out, and then he's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, Leanne, I think that's a good point, but Pickens getting upset with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams is going to be very different than getting upset with Kenny Pickett, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. These guys are proven. And I know some people are saying, what Aaron Rodgers brings with him. Bottom line is on the football field, Aaron Rodgers is still pretty good. He's definitely better than Russell Wilson. So I know he's got a lot of off-the-field baggage. I get it. But that's part of the entertainment of bringing him to town, because if it goes really bad, it's going to be very public.
We'll all go on a darkness retreat after that.
They don't want Pickens anymore because he's drama and chaos and off-the-field antics and whatever. And then you're all on board for Aaron Rodgers. And I feel like he's even worse than Pickens with the off-the-field bullshit.
I love George Pickens.
He just wants to play and he's passionate. He's not showing up and stuff.
I love George Pickens, though. So, I mean, maybe.
I didn't say you.
Yeah.
a lot of the fans.
That's me. I was the one that said I was done with it. I've recanted that statement, though, Leanne. I've changed my mind a little bit. I took a look at some things. I was like, you know what? Not a good idea.
There's nobody else out there.
There's nobody else out there. So
it's okay, George.
George, do your thing.
Pickens. I really agree. I think that there's, people keep forgetting that. Everybody's talking about dump him and get Debo. I did an article today on possibly signing or, making a trade for Debo or whatever. And all these fans were like, yes, get him and dump Pickens. I'm like,
I saw that.
It's not a Pickens swap. Like that's
no.
Yeah, I'm not for that at all.
You get, like Brandon Ayuk or I don't know, T. Higgins.
No,
you can talk about that, but
no, personally, I'm not for that at all. To me, that's dumb. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the first round of wide receivers.
Oh, yeah, we got everybody.
Wait, Zach, did you go?
The second one?
Yeah, he went first. Right?
First was Pickens.
He went Pickens.
I said keep Pickens was my very first thing.
Okay.
Dave, you brought up Dave, you brought an excellent point, which is exactly why this next guy comes in. We need a grown-up in the room. And simply because of how far I want Aaron Rodgers away from Pittsburgh, I'm willing to use Devontae Adams as the decoy to move him away and bring Cooper Kupp here. The fact that Cooper Kupp might get released and we might even get him for less is what I have been a Cooper Kupp fan for a long time. I understand the injuries are there, but even if he's injured a bit, that is the kind of guy you want George Pickens taken after. That is a guy who just shows up, does his job, takes his lunch pail and goes home. And that is perfect. So Cooper Kupp in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform would make me so happy. So I think those two would make a really interesting duo, even if they only played on like 50% of the field together because of injuries.
Bob, who's your number two?
Well, I'm gonna let Dave do this pick since it seemed
well,
to be on the same wavelength.
I start calling you two the toxic twins because you keep coming up with all the drama, guys.
My number two guy is George Pickens. This is a no-brainer. I'm keeping George Pickens. I'm not, unless somebody really knocks my socks off. But again, you're gonna get 50 cents on the dollar if you try to trade him. So it's not even worth it. I'm keeping George Pickens.
I agree.
What
so
about
that was. You guys should have just done this together.
I know, right?
Like on camera.
I guarantee you number three will be different.
Yeah, the running back's going to be different. That's for sure.
The third wide receiver is going to be different too. I guarantee.
Yeah, probably.
All right, is it my turn then?
Yeah, it's your turn.
All right, so I'm going to use my one draft pick that I get. I've been doing a lot of mock drafts. This guy falls to the second round sometimes, so I'm going to go with Isaiah Bond. When you look at, I just looked at a small sample of the scouting report. This is what I saw. Elite separation skills. We were like last in separation. So to hear this guy's got elite separation skills, like to hear that. Game-breaking speed and elusiveness. Something we desperately need at wide receiver. So I'm going to use my one draft pick. I'm allowed for this. I am drafting Isaiah Bond. Plug him in, baby. Him and Debo. And then I'll let you guys know who my third wide receiver will be soon.
He should have stayed in Alabama.
Just to clarify, I thought we got a draft pick for wide receiver and running back.
No, one for the whole thing overall.
Okay,
yeah,
no
one
problem.
draft pick overall. Okay. Make sure I got that right.
I didn't want to plug too many draft picks into
Did you do your
this.
second wide receiver? Were you agreeing with Dave, Bob? Was that your second wide receiver? Or do you have something
George
to-
Pickens is definitely mine.
All right, let's go back up to Zach for wide receiver number 3.
No,
Okay,
Dave,
this
we skip
one
you
is-
or no?
No, I said Pickens.
That's right. Okay.
I'm sticking
Yep.
Pickens.
This one might surprise people. I genuinely feel that if there was a legitimate wide receiver 2, Calvin Austin would have been even better than he was. Calvin Austin to me is a legitimate wide receiver 3. And if you have the Pickens and Kupp mixture that I have, I think that is a guy who can take the top off the defense in the way that Pickens and Kupp can. I love what Calvin Austin could do if he had what we didn't have last season. So to me, it was easy, and you don't have to go far to look for that. So this is a really cheap wide receiver room as long as we bring George Pickens back too.
Right. All right, well, let's alternate going forward. So we'll go back to Bob this round.
Okay, so for wide receiver 3, since we only get one draft pick, I was planning on 2. Gosh, there's a guy I really love here, but I think we need a different. Okay, for wide receiver 3, I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. Hey, if we could do draft picks, it would have been different.
I'm switching mine. I can't do everything the same as the Bob.
I was going to say, I'm going to go
ridiculous.
Christian. Yeah, only because we couldn't do another draft pick. I mean, honestly, I had Jaden Higgins in my head here, but I need the draft pick for the running back. So.
Did you two have a conference call together or something?
I don't know.
What the hell?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wanted the big possession receiver, so based on because it's a really bad free. You know what? I'll be different. Darius Slayton. I'll take Darius Slayton as my third wide receiver, even though honestly I don't want him either. This should be a draft pick here, in my opinion. But I'll take Darius Slayton for now.
All right. Yeah, I feel bad, Dave. but all right, so my third wide receiver is going to be George Pickens. Look, I feel like if you go Isaiah Bond, Debo, and George Pickens, you've got your combative catch guy. You've got your huge speed guy with Isaiah Bond. You've got your all kinds of tools in the toolbox with Debo Samuel. He can run. He can catch. To me, that's a real diversified wide receiver group to really give defenses trouble. If you really want to talk about a receiver core, to me, that would be fire. And taking Isaiah Bond, to me, also is that insurance policy that the Steelers usually do when they're going to have a wide receiver they may move on from in his last year of his contract. So that is how I look at this whole thing. So for me, give me George Pickens, Isaiah Bond, Debo Samuel, and let's roll.
I like that, David, because people are forgetting too. We're going to get Roman Wilson back, and that's almost like another draft pick. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like a surprise for us when he can really do and not do. But
and Leanne, that's my 5. It's Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, and then these 3. I mean, that's a 5 where I'm like, okay, now we're cooking.
Yeah. Your top 3. I hope you got Jared Mayo coming in as the wide receivers coach, because that's going to be an interesting group of receivers if that shakes out.
It'll be entertaining. We'll throw Aaron in there too. Let's fucking do this.
All right, I went with Christian Kirk. Spoiler alert, but I did it because I've been reading lately that they might actually cut him to save cap space. So if they can get him as a free agent, they won't have. I don't think he'll command that much money. So I think that's a good third receiver, slot receiver. If not, I'm okay with the Calvin Austin, Roman Wilson, and I'm going to draft a guy later on in the draft, 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, just to round out the room. So either one of those scenarios is fine with me. If I've got Devontae Adams and George Pickens, then I'm not so worried about wide receiver 3 that I was this year. So,
yeah, I mean, I think the biggest issue is we have to make sure we can't have what we had happen when George Pickens went down. We can't have him go down and we're just fucked. It's got to be, okay, he goes down, but we still have a bunch of these guys that, are going to give you trouble. And that's the way I look at this.
But they have to draft one somewhere in the draft.
What's that, Leanne?
he said we really got left without any weapons when those better defenses figured out how to kind of shut Pickens down too. So even more than just when he got hurt, we played those better teams when he came back and they figured out how to get in his head or to kind of eliminate his effectiveness or take him out. Then, yeah, I mean, all of a sudden you've got no other weapons to step up in his place.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree. All right, so let's move on to the running back round.
Wait, we got Zach.
Zach, as I say, did you do your third?
Yeah.
I started out.
Yeah, he starts it out. You guys forget about him so quickly.
I thought she was a Bob.
Who did he say?
Calvin Austin.
Calvin Austin.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. He did.
Yeah.
Sorry. You
He
did say
started
that.
off this round
Jesus
and
Christ.
then-
Pay attention when Zach talks, you guys.
All right, so back to Zach. We're going to start with the running backs. You guys get 2 running backs, and we'll do 1 and 1 again, and we'll go this time from Zach to Dave. Take it the other direction. Go ahead, Zach. Oh.
It surprised anybody.
That's
I
awesome.
Play GM. He is not leaving.
Awesome.
I'd figure
Awesome.
the money out. I'd figure it out. If I am the GM, my answer was already there, and I would keep him. So that was the easiest part of this entire exercise when I realized I would get to keep him.
Did you actually even say his name yet? Najee Harris?
Don't
those
even
that
have
are
to-
gonna-
In case anybody didn't know.
Well, for those that are going to listen to it later instead of
That's
watching
true.
it,
That's
he picked
true.
Najee Harris. No one's shocked.
Oh yeah, for anybody, whoever is listening, I slowly lifted up an image of Najee onto the screen. So
That was
there
awesome.
you go.
That was
Mark
awesome.
Wally said today that he is the best free agent running back that's out there this year.
I guess we know what Cabal is getting his stories from. It's Najee Harris and
He
Russell
doesn't
Wilson.
think
Because
that he did say he doesn't think we're keeping him, that there's any chance that we're keeping him. But all these fans that are talking about picking up a veteran running back, this isn't the Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley offseason like last year with guys like that to pick up.
Oh, my.
Interesting.
All right. Is it me?
Yep.
All right. This is where I start to cook. I'm going to trade down in the first round, and I'm going to take running back Omarion Hampton from North Carolina.
Okay.
I'm telling you guys, just watch this guy for 5 minutes on videos. He's born to be a Steeler.
You're taking a running back in the first round again.
I'm going to trade down either out of the first round or to the end of the first round, and I'm taking a running back.
Oh.
This is what everything we wanted Najee Harris to be. He's got burst.
I've
He's
known
got
you for like
speed.
2 years now, 2.5 years. And
Yeah.
you were
Well, wait a minute.
bitched so much about them taking a first.
I know that.
I can't even
I've
talk.
only been here like 6 months, and I know that.
I can't
I'm
believe
trading
you
down.
let-
I'm getting more assets, and I'm getting maybe the best running back in the draft, or at least the second best running back in the draft. This guy, Dave, go watch film for 5 minutes.
I
Come
get
back
it. I get it.
He's 6 foot 220, and he's going to run 4.4 in the 40.
Okay.
This guy's a monster.
All right.
And
I just
I've got
can't
Aaron
believe my
Rodgers.
ears.
I need to keep him upright. I need a running game. So
All right.
Omarion Hampton is my running back.
Okay. I'm bringing back Jalen Warren. I thought he was top 3 on the team in playmakers. He's dynamic, elusive. I really like the guy. When he's not in, when he is injured, all he could rely on was Najee, and that was it. And as much as fucking Arthur Smith loves to toss, I want Jalen Warren for that. Nobody else out of the group that was used to be with the team, we'll say, this past season. So yeah, I like Jalen Warren. I think he's going to come cheap because of the fact he was injured and didn't put up a lot of stats this season. So I want him back on this team. So I hope he's restricted free agent. So they should be able to match whatever he's offered to bring him back. I don't see it being a lot. So I think that's a cheap, I don't know if I want to say safe, but a cheap, sneaky, good move to bring him back. I'll say that.
Can't wait to hear who you partner with him because I don't think he's a one.
You don't think he's a one?
I think he needs somebody else with him.
I
agree.
think most teams nowadays you need.
agree.
I mean, unless you're Saquon Barkley
agree with
or King
Yeah.
Henry, most
Yeah.
teams need to have that running back by committee.
Yeah, but then you got to
Yeah,
find that balance because isn't that where they kind of went wrong with Najee and Jalen? You know what I mean? Not using them correctly and not like having that proper balance
Yeah.
all the time. So you got to have that, whoever that second guy is.
As much as we run the toss, we better have a couple people that can
Yeah.
actually do it. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
And Jalen Warren's not a big guy, and he runs so violently that he can't have, 300 carries. He won't last the
Right.
season.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah,
We all know Dave's picking CPAT with his second choice, so we can just skip him next round. All right, Bob, how about you?
I'm taking the guy who's 1 inch taller, 5 pounds heavier than Omarion Hampton, and it'll be interesting to see. Hampton's probably faster, but if this guy, as long as he runs in the 4.4s, he's the guy I see as a Steeler running back, and that's Caleb Johnson. He's a decisive runner. He's a good pass catcher. He's good at pass protection. He's going to eat in some. He can be a true 3-down back, but I do think he'll be more effective in a tandem. But Tomlin loves 3-down backs. I think if Najee had not opened the door for Jaylen Warren, we would have had 4 years of Najee as a 3-down back. So I like Caleb Johnson. Second round in the 50s. I love Caleb Johnson. If I got to trade up to get him, I don't know that I want to do that. I think you would have to trade up for Omarion Hampton, Ashton Jeanty, guys like that. I don't know that you have to trade up for Caleb Johnson. Not that he's any less of a back than those two. He's just a little bit different. But big, strong back, quick, can take it to the house. He's a home run threat. I think he's everything we thought Najee would be. So, yeah, Caleb Johnson's my guy.
Okay. So you two also used a draft pick on a running back.
Yeah.
This is starting to get scary.
Like I said.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was the big no-no. We were supposed to never do that again.
Well, not in the first round. My guy's in the second.
I'm waiting for Dave and Bob's screens to just move together and they just appear side by side.
Or like, like when they do the effects where their like faces morph into like one face, sort of looks like both of them.
There's a visual.
All right, back up to the tap, Zach. We'll go around from you to Bob this time. Who is your RB2?
RB is where you can blame me for not being creative at all. But if I get to choose, I see no reason to break up something that should have worked if we used it correctly. So I would bring back Warren too. I think those two work wonderfully in tandem. I think the missing pieces of no wide receiver 2 and bad choices at quarterback hindered anything the offense as a whole could do. So I really feel like with the quarterback I have, wide receiver I put together, those two get a legitimate chance to have a real offense to run behind. So I think that would be interesting. But you can blame me for not being creative there because I will make up for it in tight end.
Oh, okay.
All right, Bob.
I'm going to go with Jaylen with Caleb Johnson. I do think that would be an effective tandem. Johnson needs a little bit more of a change of pace back, so Warren can kind of fill that role. They're two different kind of backs, big, small. They both have similar bursts, but Warren might end up being just a tiny bit faster. He may be a little more dangerous on the edge, although Johnson is very good on the edge. So based on the options available, I'm trying to keep a low salary cap. I don't know that I'm giving Warren the second round restricted draft tender, but yeah, I think I can get Warren for probably $2, $3, $4 million, which is a hefty raise. And pairing him with a rookie, I like the price, and I like the tandem. All right,
It should not be any surprise to anyone. I'm going J.K. freaking Dobbins. All right.
No.
Look, 1,000 all-purpose yards last year in 13 games. And in 13 games, he still had 900 rushing yards, which was actually 21st overall. And which is, look, for a guy who only played 13 games, he missed on 4 fucking games. So it's hard to tell what his end of the season stats would have been. Out of all the free agents, the only ones that have more reception yards than him was Najee, Warren, and Jones. And all those guys played in more games. So there's that to think about when it comes to technically free agents. And I cut CPAT and still draft a running back, guys. That's the move I make. I'm still drafting a running back. And I want those 3 guys. I want a draft pick, I want J.K. Dobbins, and I want Warren. And I think that should be a dynamic running back by committee where you can cause a lot of problems with that run game. And on top of the guys that I just picked for wide receiver, plus Justin Fields' legs at most, or at worst, we'll say. I mean, to me, that sounds like a problem for defenses.
I've seen a few places target Pittsburgh as a possible landing spot for him.
It just makes sense because of the fact he was injured. It has injury history, which is true. He does. It's really bad. So he shouldn't be that expensive. Like that's just the way I look at it, is that, and that's another thing too about some of my picks. It's kind of cost effective, even though I want them to spend that money. But then the way I look at it is okay, whatever other money's left over, you spend out on whatever you need, but you can go after a big time free agent to fill a hole of anything, whether it be defense, offense, special teams, whatever. But yeah, no, I'm taking J.K. Dobbins. I really like this kid. He did have a 61 or 62 yard touchdown that he did take to the house. So this guy can do that. He's got that capability. So I don't know. I like the guy.
Do you think with somebody like JK, they would have to look to, I know we're only doing 2 picks here, but look for that third running back for like somebody young in the draft, maybe in a mid round?
Yes.
Day 3, something like that. Because his injuries worry me if we don't have somebody else.
I would find a guy that's durable, not known to have a lot of injuries in college. Maybe more like a thumper type. Like I kind of do want to have that different kind of guy. So that's the way I would look for in the draft. Yes.
I like that.
All right, I'm doing Jaylen Warren. There's absolutely no reason not to have Jaylen Warren on this team next year. He's good. He's cheap. He's young. It's a no-brainer for me. Simple, easy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Do you guys think realistically, any of the current running backs other than Warren will be back next season? I mean, certainly they can't bring back. I know we joke about CPAC.
Probably not, no.
I'm worried. I'm worried that they're going to keep CPAC because he's under contract. I really am. I truly am.
Aww.
And that, Artie Smith likes him. Until he's cut, I'm not going to believe it.
Got pictures of Smith having sex with farm animals.
I'm telling you.
I'm
telling you.
What?
You are not wrong.
I'm not trying to be mean, but like time has passed you by. He wasn't productive. There was nothing, you know what I mean? He wasn't putting anything out there. It wasn't even like he was putting stuff out there at the beginning of the season and then he kind of fell off, or, so maybe you could say he had an injury, or he was sometimes productive and just inconsistent. I mean, I think he was pretty consistently not good.
He made one play.
Correct. He had one play.
All season.
One play.
And I was pretty excited about it. I thought, well, this guy was so good at returns. Like this might be a guy who could break a few off, not every down, but every once in a while. So I was excited. And
then came the toss.
Well, there's a rumor that Deebo Samuels has put on 20 pounds, so we can have we can have Chef Boyardee squared with Deebo and Cordarrelle Patterson on the field.
I mean, you're not wrong either, Bob.
You're
not.
20 pounds, good Lord, if that's true.
Here comes Relic.
Did you see the picture of him in the Eagles jersey?
Yeah.
That's not
true. He looked like Santa Claus.
He did have one good game. Then he got injured in the game. He had 3 runs for like 50 yards early in the season. That is true. He did have that one good game. My brain kind of mentally blocked that out.
Yeah,
they brought that man in to be a kick returner, a dynamic kick returner.
I know.
And he couldn't even.
Then he watched Zion Williamson on some ESPN short and said, "Hey, that looks like a good plan."
Yeah, dude, just no.
We'll see.
Can't. $3.1 million cap hit. See ya. I would. Yeah. I'll pay you $300,000 to go somewhere else.
It will make me so mad if we refuse to sign Najee Harris for $6.5 million or whatever, but then you're going to bring this guy back for that. I will be furious. That's outrageous.
There's just no way. I don't know how you do that. I'd go spend the $1 million it's going to cost on a draft pick, maybe less.
Yeah.
And you'll have way better option there. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so let's roll into our tight end round. Zach, we're going to go back up to you, and then we'll go to Dave for the second round, around to Dave's time.
Well, every single time I do a mock draft, every time I'm like, I'm going to try something different. Tyler Warren is sitting there. He is just waiting for me to pick him, and that would be delightful. And he would come right in and fit beautifully into even any wide receiver package that we put together today would fit with him. He is what why am I blanking on the name of the tight end from the Falcons? Kyle Pitts. He was who everyone thought Kyle Pitts was going to be. I feel Tyler Warren will be. So draft Tyler Warren. That to me, best player available, first round pick, well worth it. Bring him in and Yeah, that's an excellent tight end 1 for me.
I
To me,
endorse
he
that 100%.
automatically becomes tight end 1.
Same here. Like that's a
100%.
good
You take
pick.
him in the first round, Zach. He's your first round draft pick.
Yeah.
Yep,
You'd
he's
have
my
to be.
first round draft pick.
Yeah, he's
Well
gonna be
worth
gone
it.
after that. I was
Yeah.
just curious if
I
that's.
don't even think he makes it to 20.
He's just
I don't.
always there. Like I think there's been maybe 1 or 2 total mock drafts where he's not an option there, and I can't look past him when he's sitting there.
Yeah.
No, I'm same. When I get to that pick, he's still there. It's like, how do you pass on that? Especially when all those top wide receivers are gone. It's the D lineman where you're going to be like, they're probably going to take D lineman after.
I mean, I get it, Vaughn, but they're comparing this guy to Gronk. Like, I know Gronk, that name gets thrown around a lot, but Tyler Warren's legit. He is legit. He's going to be a very good tight end in the NFL. And
I know Arthur Smith didn't win a lot of people over, but he does love his tight ends, and so maybe this would be you know what I mean? Would be the guy that would help our offense get over that misutilization hump a little bit.
That's what I said while you're on vacation, Leanne. We talked about this couple pods back. That's what I said. I said they love their tight ends. Like I could see it happening. Absolutely.
Well, hold on though. Arthur Smith, where Zach just brought up a name, Kyle Pitts. Who ruined Kyle Pitts? According to every Atlanta Falcons fan, Arthur
Shots
Smith.
Fired.
I think Kyle Pitts ruined Kyle Pitts. He's just not that good.
Falcons fans are just.
I think Kyle Pitts was overrated.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is overrated.
There was a lot of hype with Pitts. I mean, I get what Bob's saying. I mean, he had London, Pitts, all them guys, and couldn't do anything with them. Like, yeah, I get it. I get it.
I'm not saying he would ruin Tyler Warren. I'm just saying I don't think we have any shot at Tyler Warren. I also think taking a tight end in the first probably would be a bad idea.
The only reason why I like him is because he is a good wide receiver that can block, that can make contested catches. Like he is really good. If there's no top wide receivers there for me, Bob, like if those guys are gone and the draft value doesn't make sense to me, I don't want them to reach on a wide receiver that's like a bottom of the second, top third round. That's where I'm like, okay. But if there's a D lineman that's a top D lineman that fell, I might be more that way.
Yeah, I think
a corner. If a top corner's there too, like those are the things where I'm like, maybe we go that route instead. But if those top guys in those positions are gone and he's there, I'm taking him.
Yeah, the top corners I think will definitely be there. Going back to Dave's interview with Tony Pauline, I kind of like the and I see what he's saying after watching tape of both. I kind of like the Copeland kid from Michigan better. I don't think either one is bad. I would be ecstatic with either one. I don't know if I would be ecstatic with either one at 21, though. I think you could get Copeland in the second if you really wanted to go tight end. But, I mean, as far as needs go, I put tight end down like 5-6.
Yeah, I get it.
Jackson Hawes in the 4th or 5th round.
Yeah,
he's a good player.
He'd be a decent later round pick.
And in the 4th or 5th, okay, I get that.
There's a lot of good tight ends in this draft.
Dude, I watched Tyler Warren all season. And, I mean, he was their offense minus the running backs. Yeah. They had no wide receivers. Like, that game against Notre Dame, if it wasn't for Tyler Warren, I don't know what the fuck. They'd have never scored.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
Yeah, he's really good.
So, all right, who's Dave? Are you up?
Dave is next.
I think I'm up. I'm going to take Jonnu Smith, free agent signing for the Steelers. A nice, athletic, downfield tight end. He had 88 catches, I think it was, for almost 88 receptions for 884 yards last year. 8 touchdowns. Granted, it's Miami. It's a different offense. But I think it gives them one more weapon in the passing game that they really, really need. So I'm going Jonnu Smith.
What do you think he costs? And
he's probably going to be in a 10 million range, right, Bob?
Yeah.
I didn't tend to.
He's a free agent?
Actually, I think he might get more than Pat got. So because he's coming off that great season, and there's some extraneous connections. Arthur Smith never actually coached him, but he's not young. So, but yeah, nice player.
He's not 30 yet, right? I don't think he's 30.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's late 20s.
So he'd be a trade, right? Because he's
he's a free agent.
Yeah, he's a free agent.
I didn't have him on my list of free agents
last year.
I'm pretty sure he's a free agent.
I'm a little upset because, I would probably take him, but I didn't see him.
He signed a 2-year.
Oh, he might not be. Shoot.
Trade it is.
Oh,
Yeah, trade it is.
So
They
what would
trade
you
for
trade
Juju
for
Smith.
him, Dave?
I'm not trading. I'm not trading.
Pat and
All right. I'm going to take Muth. Get back to me on the second one. I'll take Muth. I thought he was a free agent. My bad.
that surprises me.
They're stuck with Muth. They can't. I mean, they have to keep. What are they?
They're not getting rid of him, so you'll.
Yeah, they're not getting rid of him.
Right. They're
4
not
years,
getting rid of
$48
him.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. And they don't. If they wanted to trade him, I don't really think they can get anything for him. So
And-
Muth's going to be on this team.
Same Muth here too. That's one of my two. Muth. I mean, he's not going nowhere. If utilized right, he might be more productive. They might get more out of him. There's things about him I don't like though either. I don't think he hates contact. I notice he avoids it a lot. Fumbles in horrible timely manner. If you know what I'm saying, like it's just always at the worst time. I don't know. I'd like to see more out of a guy that we're paying $48 million to. Let me put it that way. So, but yep, Muth's gonna be my first item.
I like what my man Big Poppy here is thinking. But I'm gonna see your Zach Ertz because he's so old, and I also don't think there's any way that Washington will let him escape. I'm gonna go Austin Hooper, who is a free agent, who also I think would come in and be the number one tight end, assuming he stays healthy. His injury history is slightly worse than J.K. Dobbins. But yeah, Hooper's a good, reliable target. When he's healthy, he is a number one. He's 30, but I need somebody to kind of teach Pat how to be a tight end one. So,
When he was healthy and young, he was good.
He was good last year.
Just injuries kind of just ate him up, though. They really did.
Yeah.
But but no, I get the pick. Like I back when he was younger, I remember. Wasn't he with the Browns? Was it the Browns he was with? I can't remember who he started his career with.
I think it was the Chargers.
Might have been. I can't remember, but I could have sworn he played for the Browns one year too. I'm not 100% on that. Or Falcons.
He
I
did.
can't remember.
Falcons started with the Falcons, the Browns, the Titans, the Raiders, the Patriots.
So Browns and Falcons. I nailed both those.
Mhm.
How about that shit?
journeyman right there.
He was a third-round pick in 20.
By the way, I thought so when we go around the second time around for this, I thought I was stupid for going after free agent tight end, and all you guys are going for. Like, I feel better about myself.
Oh, we would have used draft picks, but you wouldn't let us.
I feel better now. Like everybody is thinking, like I'm thinking, like yeah, let's look at free agent tight ends. I like it.
Yeah, and he'd be reasonable. He signed only a 1-year contract with the Patriots for 1.2, so be a reasonable sign. All right, so finish up with Bob. So we'll go back up to Zach and then back around to Bob.
Yep. Well, to me, Pat Freiermuth just exists. I didn't have him on this list just because we are stuck with him. So he's just there because I would consider Darnell Washington to me more legitimate. If we had Tyler Warren there, you have Darnell Washington behind him. That guy can block anybody and anything. So he might as well be an offensive lineman right there. And then a couple times he needed him to go out in the red zone. He was incredibly effective. So it comes back to the same thing we've been saying this entire podcast is he has to be used right to be effective. And we saw it when it did work. And then we didn't throw it to him in the red zone after that. So maybe Tyler Warren would open things up a little bit more. But to me, Darnell Washington and Tyler Warren would make a really interesting tight end duo to me.
Hey, real quick, Relic, as far as Muth goes with only 2 fumbles, that's because most of them have luckily been recovered by another Steeler. The guy fumbles a lot in critical situations. Sometimes we get lucky that it's recovered. Sometimes we don't. That's my point in that.
All right, Bob?
Look, we paid Pat Freiermuth $48 million, whether we like it or not. And for the most part, for most of his career, we've liked him. Yeah, he had a couple bad fumbles. I get it. He's had more concussions than Tua. But at this point, you know, if I got Austin Hooper on one side, I got Pat on the other, and Darnell Washington is my blocking tight end, then okay, I'm happy with that. I don't think there's any way, and I love Darnell Washington, but there is no way he is ever going to pass Pat Freiermuth as a pass catcher in this league. I think he can be an effective tool in the red zone. I don't think any of our current quarterbacks would know how to use them, but maybe Uncle Aaron would know how to use the 7'5", 500-pound monster that is Darnell Washington. But yeah, I got to go Pat here. I hope he learns from Austin Hooper if I'm bringing him in, or if we do go the tight end route. Personally, I think we're going to draft a tight end. We're not going to sign one, but if we did, we need a third one. And where he slots in 1, 2, 3. My fear is that everybody still thinks in the coaching staff that he's a 1. I see him as a high-end 2. Maybe could get to 1 with the right tutelage.
Okay. All right. So my free agent tight end is going to be Mike Gesicki. He was 10th in yards. He actually had more yards receiving than Freiermuth did. So with 665, he only had 2 touchdowns on the season, though. I would cut Connor Hayward. I would want my 3 guys to be Washington, Muth, and Mike Gesicki, because first of all, if he can get as many yards as Muth can, and that's another guy that I think who actually is like I want to say a bigger athletic, more version of Washington. He could also be a red zone threat. I don't know. I think that's a guy that you could get, and I don't know how much he would really cost. I'm not sure if he would be. I don't think he'd be that bad, really. But I don't know. That's a guy that I would consider.
You picked the one guy in the league who's probably a worse blocker than Pat.
Yeah. I'm not really. He's a big
great
dude.
receiver.
I'm not sure how, but I know that receiving wise, he's good.
Yeah, great receiver.
For me, it's about playmakers. That's the thing. I want to load this team with as many playmakers as possible because that's what they need.
We have to.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
All right. After blowing my first one, I looked at the free agent class. I don't really like any of these free agents at all. I'm going to stick with Darnell Washington, and I'm going to draft a guy. I just don't think any of these free agents are worth it. It's a deep tight end class. You can get one in the 3rd, 4th round. That's probably better than most of the free agent class and cheaper for sure.
Are we on agreement? Cut Connor Hayward?
Keep him as a fullback.
I would cut him, but they're not going to.
Mm-mm.
They're not going
Well,
to.
actually,
Use him fullback, whatever.
Isn't his contract up?
He must have 1 more year, I think.
Wasn't
Connor
he?
Hayward? He's probably got one
wasn't he
more.
in Najee's
got
Yeah,
one
one
more.
more. Yeah, one more.
I think he's got one more. I think. I'm not 100%
I thought
right.
he was the year after.
Yeah. I thought he was too.
Yeah, I mean, if he's under contract, I mean, he's a decent special teamer.
He's under
Yeah.
contract. Yeah, he's an unrestricted free agent in 26.
Okay.
So for $1.1 million this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be special team / fullback / whatever.
Yeah, I'm having a competition for that position. Who's the guy you liked last year, Zach? His name is falling out of my head. The fullback.
Jock Coletto.
Yeah, I'd bring it. I'd bring him to training camp and let them fight it out.
I love that kid. I hope he gets a chance again. You know, Team Coletto. So was a big fan of that.
He would only like defensive players to make plays.
Not
Yeah,
wrong.
I get it. I just want to load this offense up with playmakers at all positions because that's what they need.
Could TJ play tight end?
Look, TJ insists that he could win a state championship at a Texas high school as their quarterback. So if he can do that, then I think he can handle some tight end duties on this.
Probably.
JJ played tight end for the Texans.
Yeah.
TJ could play tight end better than Connor Hayward. I guarantee you that.
100%.
1,000%.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be so much fun.
All right, guys, we got a few minutes left. We've gotten through all of our picks. We definitely want to hear from all the viewers and listeners about what you think. Like David said earlier, we'll put these up on Twitter so that you guys can vote on the various teams. And it'll just say Dave/Bob, so you're not confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what we can do is we'll put it in the comment section.
Yeah.
Everyone's that way they can still see it.
Yep. So you can still see it. And but while we have a few minutes left, let's talk about some of the other things that were happening in Steelers land this week. So now, contracts, coaches who had contracts that have ended. And so we know that Aaron Curry and what's the other guy's name that got replaced with Alexander?
I'm drawing a blank.
Grady Brown.
Totally blanked on
Grady
his name.
Brown.
Yeah, Grady Brown.
Grady Brown. Yeah, we know that they're gone, so they've moved on. It wasn't a firing, is my understanding. It was just that their contracts expired. So still no coaches have been fired. And I have to wonder, like, is there going to be any? I mean, at this point now, we're weeks past the Super Bowl, so we're not firing anybody.
We don't fire coaches.
Right. And they let Preston Smith go, but I think everybody expected. I don't know anybody who didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah, there's no way.
Enormous cap hit and for 2 years, and so it only made sense to let him go. Maybe he'll shop himself around a little bit, and if it makes sense, maybe he'll return to the Steelers. I don't know.
Preston Smith?
I think that kid Tomlin loves is a good chance late in the draft. The UCLA edge rusher, who will probably be available on day 3. I wouldn't do it, but I think there's a chance that he makes it to the Steelers as our 4th edge rusher.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Ted, I get what you're saying about, they have to have an offensive plan. Well, when you have a group that doesn't, the only way to win with that is to have the talent outweigh the bad, incompetent coaching. If you have the talent, you may have a better chance. That's the biggest problem.
And have a guy who has the guts to ignore the coaching.
As far as coaching goes, I know we did bring in one guy, Scott McCurley, to be an inside linebackers coach. And from what I've heard, he has decent experience. He's not just somebody we hired off the street. So even though we're not going to make big coaching moves, at least that's a small positive there.
Does it concern anybody that, like, being from Western Pennsylvania is like a prerequisite to work for the Steelers? Is like they don't expand their search beyond the Pennsylvania borders. I'm a little concerned that it's every time you see the Steelers hire somebody, he's got Western PA ties. He went to Pitt. He went to Pitt. What is this all about? Can we – not to mention the 2 coaches that we lost were probably the 2 best young coaches on the team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Curry, everyone was –
I do like the hiring of Gerald Alexander, bringing him back. I do like that.
For you guys in the chat and on the panel who are adamantly opposed to Aaron Rodgers, you want to guarantee he doesn't sign here? Bring in Mike McCarthy as a special assistant.
That would work.
Or somebody, although he was funny, he said, whoever it was on the radio was asking him, did he think they'd bring him in as like an offensive, consultant or something? And he said, we've got Arthur Smith, so you got Mike Sullivan and Eddie Faulkner, who acted as offensive coordinators. Like, how many pseudo offensive coordinators does this team need before they get their shit together? And I'm like,
one would be nice.
A coordinator per position, please.
Yeah, it would be nice. It'd be interesting to see McCarthy. I think it'd be interesting to have as a
just to have that.
Well, Vrabel did
voice.
like that 1 year Vrabel thing.
Yeah.
From the area.
He's a smart offensive coach.
Dave.
What's that?
I think he's from the area, so that fits.
Oh,
yeah, he is.
Oh, he's definitely. His family owns a bar in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
he is. He definitely is.
He's a firefighter, and he grew up a Steelers fan.
I get what you're saying, Dave. There is some of that to it. There definitely there is something there a little bit. There's some guys they've brought from outside of that. I mean,
but they seem to like predominantly look for that. I don't know.
No, I get it.
Isn't Andy Weidel from Pittsburgh too?
Not from.
From Pennsylvania, Western PA.
Wait. No, who was it, Dave? What?
Andy Weidel, isn't he from the area too?
I don't know.
We got him from
he
the
might
Eagles.
be.
I think I remember hearing that.
No,
too.
one of them is.
Omar Khan is.
Let's pull a fish that saved Pittsburgh and just have open tryouts and just stock the team with local guys.
Yeah, there you go. See how that goes.
One thing that McCarthy doesn't.
Yeah, Weidel is too.
Yeah, I knew it. I heard.
I knew Khan was. I'll say this: I think Pittsburgh's a really unique place. You know what I mean? So I think like the fan base, like a lot of the fans that live there, I think really get that because it is just such a unique place, and maybe it makes them feel like there's some understanding of like the expectations or the legacy or whatever. I don't know.
No, I get what Dave's saying. Bring in the best candidate, not the best location.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
I
get it. There's a lot of good football people from Pittsburgh, but there's a whole 49 other
world.
states that has,
Yeah.
Christ.
No, there's the world out there. They did bring in Arthur Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it would have been funny if they would have waited one more year. If they would have waited one more year, I bet you McCarthy would have been the offensive coordinator here, and then it could have been
You know,
do you think he would take just a straight offensive coordinator job? I feel like
here's the problem. He wouldn't work cheap. That's the other thing that he wouldn't fit into this. He's from Pittsburgh, but he won't work cheap, so that he's out.
I think the biggest mistake, just to interject, I think the biggest mistake that we have made in the last 2 or 3 years from a coaching standpoint is why did nobody go to Antoine Randall L and beg him to come be a coach? Because you know what? I have a feeling he's going to be a coordinator this year or next year, and I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 or 3 years he's a head coach somewhere.
Who's he with? The Lions?
The Lions. Yeah, he's the Lions wide receiver coach.
That's what I thought.
Last I checked, the Lions wide receivers were pretty good.
Doing pretty well.
It's a good point, Bob, but that's not the biggest mistake they've made in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean,
no, not by a long shot.
Yeah,
I think you're forgetting. I know you're trying to block it out, but there's a certain offensive coordinator here.
Time to debate. What is the biggest mistake of all these mistakes that they have
That's
made?
a whole other show. Like, that's its own show.
It's Matt Canada. Easy. That's not a show. It's 2 seconds. It's Matt Canada.
Yelling for Ben Roethlisberger to be like the offensive coordinator, like that's so absurd. He has no interest.
That's dumb.
In that, you know what I mean? Hines Ward was coaching, so there's a lot of people who think he should be a coach. But I wonder sometimes if these guys don't want to come back to Pittsburgh, not because they bear any ill will towards the city, but maybe they want to feel like they want to step out and be somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, nobody loves Hines.
Only be in Pittsburgh.
Look, nobody loves Hines Ward more than me, I guarantee you. Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, Hines would not have been a good coach here. He's not actually a great coach. I think Randall L is a great coach.
He is a good coach.
This is where coaches come to die. We talk about Tomlin's tree all the time. They don't go anywhere. They come to Pittsburgh and they slowly fade away. So this is not a place for a young.
Part of it. Maybe they don't want to come.
Yeah, Aaron Curry couldn't get out of here fast enough.
Yeah,
he took basically the same job with the Jets.
Yeah, imagine doing that. Imagine leaving us to go to the Jets.
Did he want to leave, or did he not get asked to stay?
I guess I can't imagine them not asking him to stay. I mean, I saw a Sports Illustrated thing where he's a future defensive coordinator. He was made a list of future defensive coordinators.
But I don't think we always make the best decisions about who we keep and who we let go. So it makes me wonder.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point to ask. I don't know.
Who knows?
To be honest.
He seemed really happy. You know, when I talked to him, he seemed really happy in Pittsburgh. But
I don't know.
I know that I've had managers in the past. I have a manager in the past in different industries that I've worked in, and you can just tell when they would prefer to keep somebody unhappy and with them than coach them up eventually to see them leave. And I think maybe that's a problem we're seeing here, where Mike Tomlin understands that he has that line where if you become good enough in the NFL, you're going to leave. And maybe he's decided that I'm just going to steer the other end of the spectrum of that, and it's not working.
That's so ridiculous, though.
So hire bad coaches so they won't leave? I mean, it seems like that's what he's doing, Zach. I'm not going to argue with
honestly,
you, but not bad coaches, but
evidence is
average
there.
coaches.
Enough.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense. That I'm trying to bring some rationality to it.
Every time we go down a rabbit hole, it gets depressing. We gotta.
Yeah. By the way, I have a quick update on this. I finally got a hold of the guy I know who has a local radio station here, Joel Cowart, and his exact words were, "Who in the hell would the Steelers call? Because Shad Khan ain't taking that call." And it wasn't the head coach. They are adamant that there was no.
I heard that they think it was somebody in the Jaguars leaked that. Do you know what I mean? Just to put it out there, you know, you don't want to say you want to trade him, but you want to make other teams think they can call you because somebody's already broken the seal on that.
Oh,
you know?
generate the interest.
Right.
Okay.
The Steelers don't want to put out they want to trade TJ Watt, but if they leak a story that says, oh, the Chargers called to inquire about a trade for TJ Watt, then other teams feel like they can say, oh, well, you know, I'm interested if you do decide to work out a trade.
Yeah, like I've even wondered the Steelers did it, a fake leak like that to go, hey, look, we're trying. You know,
I mean, that would be as reasonable an explanation as any.
Well, Joel, who's on with Leon Searcy in the afternoons here in Jacksonville, he said, look, first of all, they didn't call Liam Cohen because Liam Cohen took the job to work with Trevor Lawrence, and Shad Khan isn't answering the call. There's nobody else to call.
This is why I think that the Jags leaked it, because the guy who told the story initially isn't even an NFL guy. Like all of a sudden, he never reports anything on football, and now all of a sudden he has some source in the Jags that's telling him about this. I mean, this massive, if it were true, it's it's the biggest trade of the offseason almost. And yet everybody else is saying there was no call to the Jags.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said, you got to understand, there's no structure right now. There's Liam Cohen and there's Shad Khan. And that's it.
I mean, there's still really trades that want to be made. There's people to make them. It's not like football's going to stop because they don't have a GM. I mean, they're going to have to.
I thought there was
pretty much going to stop without
I
a
thought
GM.
there was one more guy in there that was
Plus Liam Cohen's
helping run
running
things.
that.
I can't remember who it was.
Yeah.
Though.
Liam Cohen's running that. He's got all the power because he forced them to fire their general manager.
Yeah.
That's what he did. I mean,
Has he not brought anybody in yet at all?
He's going to get a hand-picked guy that's going to do what he says. It's going to be like a Mike Tomlin situation. He's going to pick his guy, and that guy's going to do what he's told. So
it's going to be a
you could call Liam Cohen. I'm sure if it was attractive. If he didn't like Trevor Lawrence, I'm sure he would have listened. But apparently he does because people are reporting that he went there to work with him. So, but I think
I wouldn't be surprised if other teams sometimes reached out to Mike Tomlin and he took a call and in theory heard somebody out about a trade. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. I mean, I don't think he'd make the decision all on his own. I'm sure it would, ultimately go back to Khan, but
he'd go tell Khan to say yes. Omar, go say yes to this. Quick.
Yeah, between two coaches, they have to have these talks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all in agreement. Mike Tomlin's running this operation. I mean,
100%.
Nothing happens without his okay.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd be shocked.
Yeah, and if Cohen had been there for a year with Lawrence, but I mean, he took the job. So the idea that Cohen somehow took this call and said, which is adamantly denied. I mean, these are the guys who are down at the Jaguar Stadium every day. Personally, I think Filippone started the rumor.
The rumor straight.
No, the guy,
golf guy.
The guy was on the radio. He said, "I have a solid source." He didn't back down after everyone was trashing him. He
I can't
kept
remember
going.
his first name, but Burr came on Filippone's show.
But he did admit he made up the compensation.
Yeah, he did. He did admit
that. He exaggerated it. He was trying to give a hypothetical, and it came across sounding like.
It is weird though. Like, why would this guy out of nowhere do this? Like, it's just strange.
The only thing is, if the Jaguars honestly took a call and it leaked, everyone's going to deny it. Everyone's going to tell those guys in Jacksonville radio, "There's no one to call. That's bullshit. There's no one to call." It's deny now. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that a call was made and now they're just denying it because it's a franchise quarterback.
Because you lose all your power if you don't. You're in the Myles Garrett situation. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
Where you just let everybody know you want to trade this guy. You got to keep acting like you want to keep him. So if they want to trade for him, they sell the farm.
Leaks are worse now than they've ever been too. I mean, if you think back in the day, right, 20 years ago, none of this stuff would get out as much. Like just taking calls, like that would not even. That hardly ever got out.
Speculating. So how do you know the difference between Filippone's fake ass leak that he puts out every third day? He's heard from his source, some nonsense, and then something that's really happening. Do you know what I mean? I was listening to Moats and Terrence Garvin, and he was saying, "Look, I don't believe it unless I hear like Schefter or one of the big names say it anymore." He said because there's just. If it really happened, they would know. And he said, in 99% of the time, these leaks you hear are made up or fake, or maybe like a stop clock every once in a while. They're right.
And I don't know how he's allowed to even keep doing this. Every week, just put out some fucking bullshit that's not real, not even remotely real.
I think I was telling you this, Dave. If he was up here in Boston, he'd have been fired. People would not put up with a guy throwing out fake leaks every week. He'd be roasted here. He would be roasted.
You guys have to have some kind of shock jock that does stuff like that. Doesn't every city have that kind of?
Not like that though. He's like he just openly throws dumb shit out there.
Yeah. And
then people attack him, and that's his shtick. I don't know. I wouldn't.
I can't.
Boston's too cynical a town. He wouldn't make it here.
Yeah, I can't stand him.
To Relic's question, it's simple, Relic. If Art's here, Tomlin's here. Yeah. If Art's here in 2 years, Tomlin's getting an extension.
Which is what Ted responded the same thing.
Oh,
so as long as I'm in charge, Tomlin will be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. I agree.
Yeah.
There will be no change until there's change at the top.
Yeah,
Period.
we talked about this a couple shows ago when it became clear that Tomlin wasn't going to, get fired or whatever.
Art did admit, though, that Chicago called. And he didn't reciprocate, but they did call and they did ask. And he told them no, unfortunately.
Yeah. Not
it's still, I wonder what they were prepared to offer for Mike Tomlin. Because they're picking in the top 10.
Relic,
right?
They didn't even fire Pat Meyer. They're not. It's not going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter.
No.
They don't care.
No, it'll continue to be the rolling out of various excuses until he at least wins a playoff game, at which point you'll feel like you're going out on a high note. And I think the two of them will leave together.
They've given us the same conversation 3 years straight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same conversation. There's going to be change. And, I'm going to do whatever it takes and all this other bullshit. And it doesn't happen. It does not happen. That's why it's like, I just, like I said, it won't change until AR2 is gone. As soon as he's gone, then that's hopefully when change will happen. But until then, get comfortable.
And if their plan is to just let his contract run out, that's dumb. If you don't have any plans to re-sign him, then trade him and get some assets.
They won't
don't
do
let
that.
Him just walk away.
They don't fire coaches and they don't.
That's just dumb.
I don't think that they want his contract to just run out. I think they fully intend that things will get better and they'll re-sign him. So whether that's delusional thinking or not, I think he still thinks he's going to be around for more years, not just these two or whatever.
And let's not doubt that silver tongue of Tomlin to talk them into it too.
Well,
yeah.
My guess is that at this point they value the regular season over the postseason. That's apparent. So I guarantee you they want him to eclipse Noel. And once they eclipse Noel, okay, then maybe the conversation will start.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, until
I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's it.
I'm not talking about the Noel part. I'm talking about the regular season part. Because what does that do? That gets butts in seats. And every game is sold out or they make their bazillions. And that's all they really care about in the end. They're still going 10-7 and butts are still in them seats. If this was like the Pirates where there's only 5 people there, I'll bet you that would start change. But
it's not going to happen.
Because that doesn't happen and we're crazy Steeler fans that we're always they're too big to fail, guys. They're too big to fail. So just like that other Rooney said, we're better than, mid. So that's fine. And that's literally what was that? I'm sorry, Liam.
Every franchise, look how bad the Washington was for so many years. They were terrible. Shitty ownership that everybody hated. Every time I went to a Commanders game, the stadium was full.
And it's almost, and that's almost every NFL team. The whole damn thing's too big to fail.
Because if your fans aren't buying the tickets, your opponent's fans are. And if your owner really doesn't care, and I'm not saying that this is Rooney, I think they do care that it's Steelers fans in the crowd, but somebody's buying those tickets. If it's not your fans, somebody will still buy them. The only thing that made Washington kind of finally push that guy out is because other owners started to speak up and say, he's too much of a creepy old guy for us. He's making us, all the other creepy guys, look bad. So he's got
they wanted him out for a long time. That was just the excuse. Okay, we got a hammer we can hit him with now to get rid of him.
Well, I think he did stuff that was so bad you couldn't continue to ignore it. I mean, at some point you have to. I mean, when is enough enough? I mean, you got racist emails and.
If he doesn't have the email scandal, and Snyder wasn't the racist emails, that was Gruden.
Oh, right.
The Snyder stuff was alleging some sexual misconduct
too.
Alleging some sexual misconduct. But bottom line is, if they don't have that scandal, Dan Snyder still owns that team.
He might be
100%. The NFL has shown that they don't necessarily care how anybody feels about ownership. Do you know what I mean? So he would have been a sacred cow, I think, for forever. Even with
for the record
about it.
I think Rooney cares. I just think he's afraid to deviate from.
That's what I think.
This path he's on. He's afraid to make bold moves. It's just leave Tomlin in charge. We'll win 10 games, and I don't have to make any decisions.
There's no need. They don't got to do shit. Those seats will be packed. They're making money.
Interestingly enough, I don't know if you guys ever watched the show Billions. It's one of my favorite shows. I love it. But one of the storylines is the owner of a corporation is trying to acquire an NFL team. And he's turned down. And the reason is they say, you don't understand. It's not just an NFL team. This is how we knight people in this country. So it's not about us as fans to them. It's about, I got to be an NFL owner. Look at what my other peers think of me. I got knighted. And when I heard that, I was like, ooh, it kind of hits you in the spot. You're like, oh, that's sense. But it's how we knight people in this country. And that changed my thinking, including Rooney. I had to, because he is an NFL owner. And even if I think of him as a different standard, he still is in that category. They think differently about themselves and what that means to them and the people they're trying to impress with it. So
I think differently about him too.
Well, they learned their lesson between Jerry Jones and Dan Snyder. Like, that's why Mark Cuban doesn't own an NFL team, because they said, hey, we got 2 idiots already. We ain't going to add a third. So, I mean, from an ownership perspective, they're going to vet them. They're going to make sure, okay, if we bring them on, you're not going to be on there screaming about the referees after the game, because you know who you don't hear screaming about the referees is the owners.
Right.
That's a good point.
One last question before we end the show, because we've gone way over tonight. Somber's asking, what is Tomlin's deal with vets? Noel hated signing vets and was pretty successful. Is he afraid that he can't coach these rookies up? What do you guys think?
I think it's self-explanatory. I don't think he can coach these guys up. We kill all the general managers for blowing the first-round picks, and no one points the finger at the coach.
Relic responded and said he can't develop anybody. He inherited the team, hence the Super Bowl win. That's why he loves vets. Look at the quarterback spot. He's never done anything with the quarterbacks.
I'm going to disagree on that a little bit. I don't agree with the Tomlin inherit. He did inherit a good team, but you still got to coach that up. So for those couple years, I give him credit. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Yeah, and I will say the one thing I did tell myself that whenever Mike Tomlin didn't have Ben and had to pick for himself, I was going to judge that differently, because to me it's been one mistake after another when you don't have Ben there. So that I judge very highly as far as Tomlin and the franchise without Ben there. So he might not have inherited the team. To me, he definitely inherited that.
And wait till TJ's gone on defense. That's the Ben equivalent on defense.
Yeah.
TJ's been bailing him out on defense for 10 years.
Yeah.
So when he's gone.
All right, guys. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
No, I was going to say, yeah, it's going to be an interesting ride the next couple of years. If we keep status quo, this is going to get real ugly real quick when TJ and Cam walk away.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you tuned in tonight and joined us for our game, we appreciate it. We appreciate all the comments from all of you. Please do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. It definitely helps us out. We'll be dropping the list once we get it together, and you guys can vote and let us know which team you kind of think that you would like to see the Steelers roll with. And come back and join us on Thursday night. We'll be back for our next show, and we look forward to seeing you all then.
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Yeah.